The trial of a Time Lord concludes with the final serial, The Ultimate Foe, i.e. episodes 13 and 14 of the 23rd season, first broadcast in two parts from the 29th of November to the 6th of December 1986. This would also be the last story that featured Colin Baker as the Doctor. Now, honestly, when I first started collecting Classic Who, I know it might sound weird, but I started with the regeneration episodes. It, it might sound weird, but starting at the end, it kind of made sense to me at the time. But this was why I was hesitant uh, about doing it that way. Not only because Colin Baker didn't really have a regeneration episode. That was the concern I had at the time. His regeneration episode wasn't his last episode, but was more Sylvester McCoy's first. So I was a little hesitant, but once upon watching through Trial of a Time Lord, I can understand. So the Sixth Doctor, played for the final time by actor Colin Baker, he is of course on trial for his life, and he's presented all his evidence and is now also being charged with genocide of the Vervoid race. And he's lost. He doesn't have any more witnesses. He doesn't have any more evidence. So he's pretty much up the creek without a paddle. But then suddenly witnesses or two people come to speak forward for the Doctor, much to his surprise. In front of the Inquisitor, played once again by Linda Bellingham, and the Valeyard, played by Michael Jaston. And those two witnesses are Mel Bush, played by Bonnie Langford, and Sabalom Glitz, played by Tony Selby, who have both come to bat for the Doctor. How did they get here? Well, throughout the trial, the Doctor has been pointing out that the Matrix has evidently been tampered with, as things he remembers viewing aren't the same, and they keep saying to him, the Matrix can't be meddled with. Everything is true, but the way that Mel and Glitz have ended up getting here is from a little help from the Doctor's old friend and nemesis, the Master, played once again by Anthony Ainley, who shows up saying, yeah, the Matrix can be meddled with because I'm inside the Matrix and I'm meddling with it. But I will admit, the Master showing up, it may have been a last minute thing, but I can understand. I think he plays a good part here. Now, ultimately, it's revealed that the Valeyard, the person who's been prosecuting against the Doctor for the entire series, played by Michael Jaston, is actually another version of the Doctor. Somewhere in between his 12th and final incarnation, the Valeyard exists. And he is made up of all of the darkest sides of the Doctor, all of the evil sides compressed into one being, into one Time Lord, simply known as the Valeyard. To which the trial is pretty much immediately suspended because they point out, well, you can't have someone who's both the prosecutor and the defence for themselves. Like, just with the Valeyard ultimately escaping into the Matrix. And in order to stop him, the Doctor must venture inside the Matrix, where he encounters a bureaucrat named Popplewick, really the Valeyard in disguise, and must venture inside the Valeyard's lair in order to put a stop to him once and for all. His lair being a kind of dark street and a building known as the Fantasy Factory. Now, once again, the characters in this are, once compared to the other serials, the characters are actually fairly compressed here. I mean, you've got the Sixth Doctor, Mel Bush, the Inquisitor, the Valeyard, the Master, Sabalon Glitz, Popplewick, and the Keeper of the Matrix, played by James Bree. And all of them, you can understand all of them. Whereas in the other serials of this particular series, there would often be a lot more characters that would often fade into the background. Everyone here, I think, gets the right amount of screen time. Even the Keeper of the Matrix, even though he's only just there to really say, well, they can't have meddled with the Matrix if I've got the key. Like, we can. We made copies of it. And it's a whole lot of fun to watch. I love the Master's reasoning behind everything in this particular story. It's like, he shows up and the Doctor's like, oh god, here comes trouble. But then when the Master starts helping, it's just like, well, why are you trying to help me? Is the Master's excuse for helping him with this trial is basically, there are two versions of you running around. One good, one evil. Personally, I prefer the good one. He's easier to defeat, and I've got no chance of stopping the evil one, so I'm helping you. But of course, the Master does have some more sinister intentions. While he plans to help the Doctor through the trial and survive, he also plans to gain secrets of the Matrix from Popplewick in order to, well, fully be able to control the Matrix. And he ends up roping Glitz into it purely because Glitz is just out for money. Which I do like Glitz's approach to the trial as well. When they bring him in, is the Doctor says, "Well, Glitz will tell you the truth. Why? He's a con man." It's like, yes, but he only ever does what he does because he wants for money. There's no money involved. He'll be completely honest, which I do like. Now, once again, I was watching this with several family members, and as I said, when the Master shows up, they're like, "Oh, is he behind everything?" It's like, no, not really. No, like he's just here. Well, he's just here to try and save the Doctor. Why? Well, because a good Doctor and an evil Doctor, the good one's easier to defeat. Ah, and I and once again, Sabalom Glitz would evidently prove popular enough as he would turn up in Dragonfire later down the line, which would actually be Mel Bush's last episode, Bonnie Langford's last story as Mel Bush. Also, something I said in the previous one of possibly the Doctor just liking carrot juice to keep Mel happy. I do think that is now the case. Like, I've looked it up, and evidently he didn't like carrot juice. He was just kind of doing it because she was telling him to. Like, even when the series returned with Time and the Rani, so well, maybe the real Doctor told you it was his favourite drink. Favourite? I hate it. Like, yeah. Evidently, neither of them liked it, which is a pity, as when they're ultimately leaving, and at the end of the episode, when everything's done, the Doctor and Mel return to the TARDIS and are like, right, time to get you back on that exercise bike. I'll make us some fresh glasses of carrot juice. Like, oh, carrot juice. Carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice. It is a shame that that would end up being Colin Baker's last line in the series, as in between season 23 and season 24 later down the line, uh, Colin Baker would end up in a rather messy situation, and as a result of this, he was let go from the role and was replaced by Sylvester McCoy. But having put off watching through Trial of a Time Lord for so long because uh, it didn't quite fit in with the other last episodes that I was watching through, I can finally understand, and I do actually like this particular story. In terms of the other stories of the Trial of a Time Lord, I'd probably put The Ultimate Foe below Mind Warp, but above Terror of the Vervoids and the Mysterious Planet. Also to note, it's revealed both to us, the audience, fairly early on, I think into part 2, and to the Doctor at the very end. Like, the Inquisitor tells them, "Oh, by the way, I guess we do owe you something, and we feel you should know that your friend, Miss Perbigillion Brown, Perbigillion with the Brown, she survived and is actually living with King Ikanos as a warrior queen." To which I can understand why people might be upset, as, well, the death for Perry would have been, I think it would have been a much better ranked thing, better appreciated, but I can understand why they wanted the happy ending to tie everything all together in a neat little bow. So I'm happy Perry survived. Maybe it would have been better if she had actually been killed. I mean, not every Doctor Who companion lives through it. I mean, look at Adric. But I can see why people would be upset, but at the same time, I do like having a happy ending every now and again. And while Doctor Who would ultimately disappear for a while and then return with a completely new Doctor with Sylvester McCoy, I do think The Ultimate Foe is a fitting ending to wrap up the Trial of a Time Lord. And what do I think of Trial of a Time Lord overall? I think it was decent. I mean, I will admit it's not the strongest series of classic season of Classic Who, but you know what? I'm still glad I saw it. Anyway, now we're done with the 6th Doctor story, it's time to get back to the 4th. As my next one up will be the Pirate Planet. Anyway, until I finish that, see ya.